America is facing a national energy crisis. On May 7, 2021, one of the largest refined fuel pipelines in the United States, the Colonial Pipeline, experienced a cyber attack that shut down fuel delivery between the Gulf Coast and the East Coast. The pipeline itself spans almost 5,500 miles and carries millions of gallons of fuel per day. It was the target of ransomware, a scheme where attackers seize control of the computer systems using code and then demand money to release the systems back to the company. The FBI blamed the attack on a group called DarkSide. The following Monday, the company managed to take certain systems offline to contain the threat and planned to restore service by the end of the week. The Colonial Pipeline is vital for several airports along the eastern seaboard of the U.S., in addition to military bases throughout the Southeast. In the aftermath of the attack, panic buying, spurred by fears of fuel shortages and a rise in gas prices, left several gas stations with long lines as people hoarded gasoline. The attack itself exposed how vulnerable the U.S. energy infrastructure is. How did we get here? America's power grid is based on designs from the late 1800s. The goal was to provide electricity to as many people as possible at the lowest possible cost. The problem is, the original power grids were designed to meet the needs of the early 1900s. And although there have been incremental advances, these systems are outdated. America's power grid hasn't been updated since the 1960s. Americans consume about 5 to 6 times the amount of electricity as the average person. And the U.S. electric grid loses power 3 times more often today than in 1984.
This equipment was designed 30, 40, 50 years ago. It was designed to do specific things. Run a motor, open a valve, run an assembly line. So the concept of thinking ahead of time didn't occur.
This is Joe Weiss. He's the managing partner of Applied Control Solutions in Cupertino, California, and the managing director of ISA 99, the International Society of Automation, that works to set international standards on control system cybersecurity. Weiss has documented over 1,300 incidents of power failure in the U.S. electrical system caused by cyber attacks.
Very good example of how you can bring the grid down for months, not hours or days, months, is a vulnerability that was called the Aurora vulnerability.
The Idaho National Laboratory ran the Aurora generator test in 2007 to demonstrate how a cyber attack could destroy physical components of the electric grid. The experiment used a computer program to rapidly open and close a diesel generator's circuit breakers out of phase from the rest of the grid and caused it to explode. Another way hackers could penetrate America's power grid is through backdoors built into the hardware, the physical equipment frequently purchased by foreign manufacturers. It can often be found in the 3 main grids of the United States: the Eastern Connection, the Western Connection, and ERCOT, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. In 2019, a Chinese-built transformer weighing between 250 and 500 tons was seized by the Department of Energy and Department of Homeland Security from the Port of Houston. It was taken to Sandia National Laboratories in Albuquerque, New Mexico, for unspecified reasons. It's believed that the transformer was seized because of fears of backdoor electronics, which could be activated or timed by its Chinese manufacturer to change the operation and affect the U.S. electric grid.
Where this electronics was installed, there was no data to steal. The only thing you could do was to either take over the control or damage or destroy that piece of equipment.
On May 1st, 2020, President Donald Trump signed Executive Order 13920, which directed utilities not to purchase bulk power systems from adversaries. It is believed this order was the result of what was found in the seized transformer.
So part of the issue is when you have 200 large transformers spread throughout the country, you could cause an immense amount of grief, not just in one place.
How can the U.S. make the grid more secure? Weatherize the power grid with cybersecurity in mind. In February, Texas experienced an extreme winter storm. What was once considered a rare statewide event caused energy facilities to fail and left millions of Texas residents without electricity or clean running water. And although what occurred in Texas was not the result of any cyber attack, Joe Weiss says the event itself exposed vulnerabilities that hackers could exploit.
Cyber is, in a sense, part and parcel of climate change. Why? Because that's when you're going to need remote access. Technology is there to make things more productive. They can't not use it. It's making it productive. So the issue is, and this is a real ethical question, what point and for what equipment do you not put in some of this technology if you know it can make you susceptible?
Create more accessible and reliable energy storage. Fossil fuel power plants are generally built far away from population centers, which means that the power has to be shipped long distances. A smart grid would enable a two-way flow of electricity with backup generators and energy storage systems in place that would have the ability to send power if, for example, the wind turbines went down. In March, Tesla began construction of a gigantic battery connected to the state's power grid at the Hornsdale Power Reserve, a facility that can receive and store energy from nearby wind and solar farms. The 100-megawatt battery could power about 20,000 homes on a hot summer day. Finally, invest in renewable energy sources. Adopting renewable energy sources is a better long-term investment for a more sustainable and secure power grid. Although these solutions are a good start to address the power grid's vulnerabilities, Joe Weiss says there's a lot more work to be done to safeguard the U.S. power grid from cybersecurity threats.
This is a problem that's 30, 40 years in the making. It's existential to this country, and we are not addressing what needs to be done. We can't keep ignoring it. The bad guys aren't.